Hey, all my science peeps. This is Mrs. Koffel, one of the 8th grade science teachers here at Irons. We are going to talk about tides today. As I go ahead and start doing a little bit of coloring, I'm going to give you some information on tides here, a little fun fact. But feel free to pause anytime. This is the glorious thing about watching a recording is you can pause it and you can color as much as you want. If you need to fast forward through my boring coloring, please feel free to do so, but just we don't want to miss out on anything important, so be very careful that you are not fast forwarding through me talking. So I've already kind of started here with my tides, and you can pick really any color you want. So the fun fact that I was going to actually share with you guys was that if we did not have a moon, what would happen to our Earth? Well, something that would be, and I don't know if this is a fun fact, because I don't think that this would be a fun fact actually at all. I think it would be something pretty serious and pretty scary, is that we would actually lose our tilt on our Earth. So what I mean by that is our sun and our moon both give us gravitational pull on our Earth. And what happens is if we were not to have the moon, we would lose that 23.5 degree tilt that we have. And we know that our tilt is part of the reason that we have our seasons. So if we no longer have the tilt, there would be a couple of really bad things, I guess, that you could say that would happen. And maybe so it's not a fun fact anymore. Maybe it's really more of a serious fact. But if we did not have that gravitational pull and we did not have our axis, that 23.5 degree tilt would be way off. So either A, we would have no tilt at all. And think about it, if we don't have a tilt at all, we would not have any seasons. So wherever we lived, we would have that same season over and over and over and over again. So I definitely would not want to be in a summer season, and I definitely would not want to be in a winter. So I am grateful that I do get to experience at least a little bit of each one of those as the year rolls on. We also, on the other hand, maybe having no seasons, or we would have such an extreme tilt that we would literally have drastic and horrible weather situations. Meaning like we might have another ice age. So anyway, I just thought I would bring that up, just something that kind of a fun fact to let you know how important the gravitational pull of our moon is. So let's get started on tides. Okay, so we have two different kinds of tides that we're going to focus on today. We have a spring tide and a neap tide. And so we're going to start with the spring tide first. So we've already covered the order of our moon phases, which is super important in order for us to really understand about our tides as well too. So what I want to do is we're just going to start taking some notes. We're going to start writing in some things, and hopefully we can make some sense of all of this. So if you look here, notice how my line is straight. Okay? So we're going to write spring is straight. And I like to use lots of colors, so feel free to do what I'm doing. Feel free to not. Okay? Now, I'm going to label this as my sun, which is pretty self-explanatory. Now, if you think back to when we talked about our moon phases, you should remember that there is a moon phase that is always nearest the sun. Always. It is always going to be right in front of that sun. And that is called our new moon. And if you also recall, the new moon is going to be, basically you look up in the sky and you can't see it. It's like looking up into the sky and there's just darkness. There's no light to it all. There's no reflection from the sun. Okay, that's what we see from Earth. So, we are here on Earth, we have our moon, and we have our sun. Okay, so all we see is darkness. Now remember, we always move in a counterclockwise position. Okay? If you recall, if we have a new moon here, and we're going to take, then we would have our next moon, and then in another week, we would get a full moon. Okay? So we're going to write full moon right here. And let me correct something. In this situation, what I'm saying is if we have a full moon or a new moon, we have a spring tide. Okay? So whether we have a new moon or a full moon, we have a spring tide. And that is why this is not, we all are lit up. We are completely lit up. So if you notice, see how we have a bulge here and we have a bulge over here? So when we have a new moon, it's pulling. Okay, we have a bulge and it's pulling. The sun is also pulling. Okay, so I'm going to actually take my color here and I'm just going to do this number. And this represents the tides that are being pulled. Okay, this represents my tides that are being pulled. And like I said, you can make this as fancy as you want. You can color it in as least as you want. I don't really care. But I just want you to get the idea that this is representing our ocean tides being pulled. So once again, when we have that new moon and we have a full moon, then we get that spring tide because these are both in a location to where they're being pulled straight. All right, my lovely coloring skills. All right, that's as good as it's getting, people. All right. So what I want you to make sure and understand that when we have a new moon and it's being pulled by the sun, we notice our bulging, our water's being pulled. Okay, we have a high tide. When our moon is over here and it's pulling in this direction, okay, we also have a high tide. Now notice in these two spots here, we don't have much of a bulge at all. We have a little bulge, but not enough to really, write home about. Okay, so this is going to be a low tide. Okay, and this one is going to be a low tide. All right, now, just so that you know, about every 6 hours is when we have a tide. Okay, so we're going to write in here 6 hours. Another 6 hours. So if you notice, 6 plus 6 is 12. Another 6 plus 6 is 12. Okay? Now, this whole thing right here, spring being straight, okay, this pull is straight. With our full moon and our new moon, this is our spring tide again, okay? Just a big old reminder. Now, something else to think about. This is going to be our most extreme, okay? So these are our most extreme tides. Because it's either going to be the highest tides, or it's going to be the lowest tides. But they're going to be the most extreme either way. And this is going to happen 2 times a month. 2 times per month, we're going to have our high tides and our low tides. All right, so let's switch gears. Now that we've done that, we're just going to move that up, and we're going to talk about our neap tides. Okay, so something that we're going to do to help you remember what a neap tide is looking at this 90-degree angle. So first of all, I want to just label this a neap tide. I want to label the obvious, which is our sun. Okay. And then I want to talk about what this is right here. You guys should probably all recognize this from math. This is a 90-degree angle. So neap is going to equal 90 degrees. Okay, neap is going to equal 90 degrees. So notice here where I have a moon, and then I have the sun. I have the moon, and I have the sun, and these both make a 90-degree angle. Okay, remember in our spring tide they were here or here, right straight with the sun. But these are not. These are at a 90-degree angle. Okay, so neap just means 90 degree, and hopefully that can help you. Okay, so we're just going to quickly fill this in a little bit. And this is also, as we fill in our moons, it's really, really important that we remember our order. This is why the order of our moon phases is so very important. So, if I had a new moon here, and I'm going in counterclockwise, okay, this is a quarter, here's another quarter, here's a quarter, this is going to be my first quarter moon, okay, because then I have a full moon here, and then this one would be my last or my third quarter moon. Okay? Now, with these tides, with a neap tide, these are our minimum or moderate tides. Okay? Just like our full moon and our new moon are like major things, like either it's like all dark or it's all light. And those are what we would call our extreme. This is moderate, okay? First quarter, third quarter, okay? More minimal tides. You notice the bulges are obviously going towards the moon for the first quarter and towards here, but everything's low. We don't have the huge bulge that we have if you look up above. Okay, and let's just write in again, making sure that we remember these are every 6 hours here. Okay, this is also going to happen just like our spring tides, 2 times per month. Don't worry if you're having a little struggle with some of this and you don't completely understand everything. We're going to be continuing working on activities and doing things to help you out. If you have any questions, make sure and join your teacher for a Zoom meeting or reach out by email. Hope this was helpful. Have a great day.